It is January 1348. You wake up not to an alarm, but to the bitter, biting cold that has penetrated your very bones. You don't open your eyes to a warm bedroom. You open them to pitch-black darkness, breathing in air so freezing that every breath turns into a thick cloud of vapor. You don't sleep alone. Next to you, huddled on a bed of rotting straw, are your wife, your 3 children, and your elderly mother. And just 3 feet away, separated only by a flimsy wooden wicker hurdle, are your 2 sheep and a gaunt cow. In the 14th century, your livestock is your life. If they freeze, you starve. Their body heat is the only thing that kept you from dying in your sleep. Your muscles ache. At 28 years old, you feel like an old man. You step onto the dirt floor, and the frozen mud stings your bare feet. Welcome to winter. Your battle for survival has just begun. Your first task is life or death. Revive the hearth. In the medieval world, letting your fire completely die out in winter is a disaster. You kneel over the central fire pit, your hands shaking from the shivering. You scrape away the grey ash, desperately searching for a single glowing ember left from last night. You find one. You feed it dried moss and blow gently. A flame erupts, but with it comes your daily torment, smoke. Your cottage has no chimney. Chimneys are a luxury for the rich lord in his stone castle. For you, the smoke simply rises to the thatched roof, filling the room before slowly seeping through the straw. Your eyes burn. Your throat feels like sandpaper. Everyone in the room is coughing. This constant smoke inhalation is why most of your neighbors will suffer from chronic lung disease before they hit 30. But smoke is a trade-off. It keeps the insects out of the thatch, and more importantly, it keeps you warm, sort of. You step outside into the blinding white. The village is dead silent, buried under 3 feet of snow. Your boots are nothing but crude pieces of leather wrapped around your feet with coarse wool rags for insulation. Within 5 minutes, they're soaked through. There is no running water. You walk down to the local stream with 2 heavy wooden buckets. The water is frozen solid. You take your iron axe and smash through the ice, the freezing water splashing onto your face and hands. It stings like needles. Next is wood. Winter eats fuel at a terrifying rate. You head to the local woodland, but you have to be careful. The forest belongs to the Lord. If you cut down a living tree, the Lord's bailiff will cut off your hand or fine you more than you earn in a year. You are only allowed to gather by hook or by crook, meaning dead branches you can reach or pull down. Dragging frozen logs through the deep snow is exhausting, back-breaking labor. Your fingers lose all sensation. You are suffering from frostbite, but there are no antibiotics, no warming creams. You just push through the pain. Breakfast, lunch and dinner are always the same thing. Pottage. It's a thick, bland stew made of oats, peas, stored turnips and water. If you're lucky, there's a tiny scrap of salted pork fat for flavor. You break off a piece of rye bread. It's hard as stone and black as soil. But this winter, the bread holds a dark secret. The autumn was wet, and the rye rotted in the storehouse, infected with a fungus called ergot. You don't know what bacteria or fungi are. You just know that sometimes eating the winter bread causes St. Anthony's fire. It starts with a burning sensation in your limbs, followed by terrifying hallucinations, and ends with your fingers and toes turning black, dying and dropping off. You look at your children eating the bread, praying to God that this batch isn't poisoned. But you have no choice. Eat the suspicious bread or watch your family starve before February. Your food reserves are dangerously low, and the long dark weeks of February are yet to come. When the sun sets around 4 p.m., total darkness consumes the village. You cannot afford candles. Beeswax is for the church, and tallow candles made of animal fat smell terrible and are too expensive to burn all night. You sit in the shadows, and then you hear it, a long chilling howl echoing from the woods. In the medieval winter, wolves are not a distant myth. Starving and desperate, packs move closer to human settlements. They can smell your livestock through the thin walls of your hut. You grip your pitchfork, your heart pounding against your ribs. If a wolf breaks into the lean-to and kills your sheep, your source of wool and milk is gone. You will not survive the spring. But wolves aren't the only monsters. In the corner of the hut, your youngest daughter begins to cry. Her skin is burning hot, a winter fever. In 1348, there are no doctors. The local wise woman suggests tying a dead toad around her neck to draw out the disease, or bleeding her with leeches. You choose to pray. You repeat the Lord's Prayer over and over, knowing that statistically, half of all children in your village don't make it to their 10th birthday. February brings the great blizzards. For 3 days, the snow traps you inside your hut. The air grows foul. The animal dung smells overpowering, and the hunger is a constant, gnawing pain in your stomach. You cut the food rations in half. You look at your mother, your wife, your children, and you see skeletons covered in skin. This is the psychological breaking point of winter. The dark thoughts creep in. But then, the storm passes. One morning, you step outside, and the air feels different. It's still freezing, but the wind doesn't pierce your skin like a knife anymore. You look up, and for the first time in 2 months, the sun feels genuinely warm on your face. You hear it before you see it. The rhythmic drip, drip, drip of ice melting off your thatched roof. Your daughter's fever broke during the night. She is weak, but she is alive. Your livestock made it through. The grain in your sack is down to the final handfuls, but the earth is softening. You have survived the medieval winter. You beat the cold, the starvation, the smoke, and the wolves. You lost 3 neighbors down the road, their bodies buried in the frozen churchyard. But your family endured. As you look out over the melting fields, you realize you have earned the right to face the hardships of another year.